to the basement.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast. I am Chris Gray, here with your newest official member of the Basement Boys, Eric Mincer.
What's up, guys? Very proud and honored to be an official co-host.
Now we just need Devin back and have more than one episode with all three of us.
Have
you know?
all three musketeers in the same
I mean,
room.
we did it once before you were an actual host, but, we'll get back there.
It's 2020. Everything's just a little different this time.
All right, let's just jump into it right away. Over the weekend, not big fight, but fun fight. A lot better of a fight than I thought it was going to be. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. card finally happened. It was supposed to happen like one or two other times before this, and there was all the rumors about the rules and them not actually being able to box and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we'll just start off with the main event and then get into the event that everyone wants to talk about. But let's start off with the main event. And honestly, for being 54 and 52.
I was going to say my first question. My first question is, how old are they? But yeah, 54, 52, able to go to the distance.
And it was not a bad fight. It was not a great fight, but
it was entertaining.
Yeah, as far again, for 54 and 52, they put on a show. They did.
And Snoop Dogg just makes everything that much cooler.
Yeah, everyone loves Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
My favorite line, he was just like, "This is like my two uncles.
Yeah.
These are like my two uncles fighting in the backyard at the barbecue." I fell out when I heard him say that. But yeah, Tyson came out very aggressive. You knew he was gonna, but he looked very in shape. He lasted the whole 6 rounds. Honestly, Roy Jones Jr., who you would have thought would have been the guy to drag him into deep water a little bit and try to work him out in the fifth and sixth or whatever.
Yeah, he had the big age advantage at the ripe age of 52. But
oh yeah, but so you thought, but he honestly by the end of the fight looked exhausted, and Tyson didn't. Tyson, it was so much better than what I expected. I either thought it was going to go like this and they were going to take it seriously, and from the training footage I've seen of Mike Tyson, it looked like he was. And then after the actual fight, I would still venture to say that it was.
So it ended up being a draw. Would you say that was a accurate assessment? No.
I'd definitely give it to Tyson.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was just more active. Roy was fighting smart because the last thing to go on a person is power.
Right.
Speed, speed, your chin, those things all go, but you can still have that power in your hands. So he would come in, pick his shots, and immediately head to the clinch, not trying to take that big shot from Tyson because that's what Tyson's known for.
Of course, no one wants to take a shot from Tyson, even if he is 54.
So it was a smart game plan, but it just kind of led to Tyson being the more active fighter of the two. There was one headbutt they just headbutted in motion by accident, and I was terrified because I thought someone was gonna get a cut. I was just the second it happened, I was just looking at both their faces.
And instantly the internet ran to is Mike Tyson biting his ear again?
Oh my god!
That was what Twitter is there for. But luckily there was no ears, no COVID issues, because I think biting someone's ear is not COVID safe. Probably.
Yeah, but also he's not on a fuck ton of cocaine, so.
We don't know that.
I'm pretty positive on that.
Okay.
If you follow Mike Tyson in real life now, he has his own podcast. He does.
I just remember he's really into pigeons. That's my thing. That's his thing. He's a pigeon guy, which is fine because I've seen the movie On the Waterfront, and that's literally about boxers and pigeons. So we're going down this rabbit hole. Mike Tyson boxing with pigeons, and it's 2020, and Mike Tyson is still fighting. Do you think there's going to be more Mike Tyson fights, or this was just why not? Let's just see if we can do it.
He said after the fight he wants to.
And I
then
can't.
Roy Jones Jr. is trying to vie for a fight against Anderson Silva right now.
That would be special. Would it be boxing or full MMA? Because if there are legs involved, I would assume Anderson Silva would be murdering him.
No, it's gonna be boxing. They tried to make this happen back in Anderson's heyday.
Right.
But it just ended up not working out. The UFC wasn't too into it.
Do you think this is all stemming from the uh Mayweather McGregor fight? What was that, 2 years ago? Where now
No.
they're just trying to take big names from each
No,
side.
they were trying to. Anderson and Roy Jones Jr. were trying to do that way before Conor was even in the UFC.
Okay, so Connor copied that.
I mean, it's just always
Not-
been a thing where it's like, oh, let's bring our guy against their guy, and like, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
just that was the first time it actually happened because the stars were so big and there was so much money to be made that
So much money.
all these companies had no other option but to try to make that happen.
Right, and I think that's probably what I can see happening with Tyson is if Tyson wants to pick on, I don't know, like De La Hoya, probably not, but
Well,
anyone,
De La Hoya is like
he's going through some stuff.
tiny,
Yeah, well,
compared to him. Like,
I bad choice. But if Tyson says he wants to name somebody just to have a fight with, even if it's not for a belt, if it's not for anything major, but just to do a pay-per-view, I think this fight proves that yeah, he can do it.
Tyson Fury's dad is trying to get that fight.
Mike Tyson versus Tyson Fury.
No, his dad.
Oh, Mike Tyson versus Papa Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Battle of the Tyson. No.
Well, no, Tyson Fury was named after Mike. That's why his name is Tyson.
Interesting.
It was really, you're just a classic Mike Tyson style, just like head movement in and out, just popping, hard shots, going for the finish. Nothing crazy, like no crazy diversion from either of their normal type game plans.
Right.
But it was just a solid fight, especially for the age of the guys.
And it seemed like it was a well-matched fight, and it went the distance.
Yeah.
Should we segue into the other fight that did not go the distance?
Oh man,
Well,
I knew this was gonna happen because as much as I don't like the Paul brothers, especially Jake Paul, because Logan Paul I feel like is just a shithead. All his problems, like all the things he's done in the past that like has gotten him fucked over. I think it's just him being stupid and just not understanding how the world works.
I don't understand their fame because I'm just not like a YouTube fanboy kind of like, so I know their names and I know that they're famous. To me, it sounds just kind of like these are two like athletic blonde guys who have a lot of money, and I feel like anybody who's that young, that rich for in this time is going to be on social media doing dumb shit like we saw.
Well, yeah,
like so many celebrities just go through it, and I think that's part of the thing with the Pauls. I don't really know their whole things, but
that's their whole thing is they just make stupid videos that are funny and like clickbaity and get a lot of views.
Okay, so, but when it comes down to it, they're legitimate boxers.
Yeah, they've trained under Shannon Briggs. I forget who they switched to now, but it was another name where you're just like, oh, okay, like this guy can teach you boxing.
And so,
no, but they can actually box, and like I said, where Logan Paul I feel like is like a shithead, and like all his controversy and drama is just him being stupid. I think Jake Paul's an actual fucking sociopath.
oh,
Like, so I fucking hate the guy.
okay.
His brother I don't hate, I just think he's stupid. Him, I fucking dislike.
Okay, so if we're keeping score at home, it's Jake is on the hate list. Logan's just a shithead.
Yeah.
Deal. On the other side of the fight, moment of silence for Nate Robinson.
Yeah, but I knew this was going to happen because they can both box, and that's why I was sad to see I was hoping that maybe Nate Robinson, his like athletic ability, being a former basketball player, could.
Former football player too. Remember the Seahawks a couple years ago brought him in for a tryout,
Oh yeah, he did.
and he played for University of Washington. Like, great athlete. Not a great athletic night for him.
No, because he was moving well. He was like, you saw the athletic ability, but he was just trying to rush it. He was going in head first, and he'd pop clinch, which is good to use against a taller fighter like Jake Paul was. But going in and coming out, he'd drop his hands or he'd still out too much going out. And Jake Paul, training with the people he trains with, training the way he does, he picked up on that easily. And like as he was coming in, he started throwing the overhand over the top. Each time he knocked him down, and that third one put his lights out.
Yeah, it was a quick night time for Nate, and I mean, you broke it down perfectly from a boxing skill point standpoint. from a skill set standpoint of how the fight went technically. I'm just looking at it as from here for probably the next week, we're going to see a ton of Nate Robinson memes.
Oh, we've already
Flood
seen.
us on social media
We've
with,
already
with
seen
all the best Nate Robinson memes. Find us on Twitter, Instagram. Send us the best ones. We want them all.
Tag us in that bitch.
We want them all. I just want to know, like I was saying to you before the show, if you're Nate Robinson, you got to hope that that was direct deposit because you're going to have to go another. If you're waiting on the check, you're going to have to go another 5-6 days of seeing all these, Simba waking him up memes and all of these memes of he's became a laughingstock for a little bit. I don't think there was a ton for him to gain because, like, if he came out and won this fight, it would have been cool. But would there be a boxing career for Nate Robinson?
But you've also seen the Paul brothers before. They had amateur fights against on the first Logan Paul KSI card. He also fought Jake also fought KSI's brother, Deji or something like that.
It's just a family affair, bros versus bros.
Yeah, I guess. And
You
then
should do a tag team.
And then I forget who he fought on the second KSI Logan Paul card, but I think it was just another YouTuber. But he beat him there, and that was a pro fight.
So it sounds like the Paul brothers are like reasonably making it as pro boxers, whereas
I'm telling you, they can box.
I believe you.
I think they can box a lot better than they can box, but they can box.
Okay, I believe you. What I'm saying is, like, for them moving forward, there will be more fights and more opportunities for Nate. If Nate had came out and won this fight, would Nate now be talked about as like a up and coming boxing prospect, or is this just like he wanted to get his name in the headlines and now his name is in the headlines because he got knocked out?
I mean, this was a pro fight. He's technically now a pro boxer
with a professional knockout. It's gonna be, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, like, for me, if I would personally was in Nate Robinson's position, then like the best case scenario is you come out and you beat Jake Paul.
Yes.
And you knock him out and you come out of this looking like a winner. But I don't know if you then continue on and make a boxing career, whereas now the worst case scenarios happened where he got embarrassed. It's going to be a thing people are going to be talking about. Like, if you're Nate, you still have freakish athleticism, so if you want to keep going, it's there, but like...
But I think there is a market for this type of boxing, and we saw that with the first Logan Paul KSI fight. We saw that with the other fight Logan Paul did against the YouTuber. Like,
so just
there's a market for this.
For well-known people.
There are people who are coming in, taking it seriously, and I hate speaking so positively about the Paul brothers because, like,
we want them to get knocked out in their next fight.
Yeah.
But they're skilled. They're skilled.
Yeah. But you have to give it to them that there is a market for this. They've come in, they've taken it seriously. They've like gathered the skills they need to actually do something about this. They're both very athletic guys.
And they have the following, so it's not like they need promoters.
And then they have that's the thing. They have the built-in following to bring the more eyes to the sport. And maybe a kid sees that because they're a Logan Paul fan and be like, oh, okay, it was cool Logan Paul did that, but like boxing is cool. Let me check out the next boxing pay-per-view. Brings more eyes to the sport.
So the next, like, Rocky Marciano is out there watching Logan Paul, just like, maybe instead of basketball, I'll play, lace up some boxing.
No, for sure. And
I just said play and lace up some boxing. Rough morning.
But yeah, they at the same it. I like it because it wasn't. If they came out and it looked like rough and rowdy,
yeah,
I'd be like, "What the fuck are we doing here?"
So it had a professional polish to it.
Yeah, they really did put on a show. Like Logan Paul KSI, like, again, maybe not the most exciting fight, maybe blah 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 blah, but it was a legitimate boxing match.
It's starting to remind me a little bit of the show Celebrity Deathmatch, where it's like you get two famous people, throw them in a ring, but obviously it's not, claymation and they're not murdering each other, but
True.
It's like you just have now, like, what if Jake Paul wants to pick out another former athlete to fight?
Well,
like,
he's called out so far. Ben Askren. He's called out Dylan Dennis, who is a Bellator fighter and Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach. He's called out Conor McGregor. He's trying to get some people, and apparently Ben Askren said, like, hey, I'm not a boxer, I'm a wrestler, but I'll beat a bum.
Yeah, all right. I think for some of these guys, like, obviously not Connor, but for some of these guys looking to build a following, why not? How many, like, the Pauls have what, 20 million YouTube
Oh
followers,
yeah, oh yeah.
which is says something about our society. But it's just, yeah, for a
Look,
lot of these guys, it's a great way to, like you said, build an audience.
look. I get that I think they're shit for brains, but you also have to understand it's like when people start coming out and like dissing today's music, like people our age. It's just like our parents did the same thing and we said we hated it. The fact that the older generation isn't into it just makes it more
Cool for the younger kids. Wow,
exactly.
I just became an old person.
Yeah.
Fuck, my back hurts.
And just the thing is, you have to understand was it wasn't made for you. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, no, okay. It was made for me because I'm a very not tall Knicks fan, so watching Nate Robinson was literally made for me.
No, I mean like their content on YouTube, the stuff that that got them famous to
Yeah.
begin with. It wasn't made for you, so you can't look at it
I get it.
through your.
It's a different style of entertainment, so the audience is out there, and if he wants to put on entertaining boxing matches, I will definitely watch. Because honestly, like as I said, I'm a short Knicks fan. I wanted Nate to come out and represent all short Knicks fans, but he represented the Knicks accurately, I guess. But
True.
that was an entertaining fight.
Yeah. All in all, the card went off pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a lot more fun of a card than I thought it was gonna be. So at least we can go there. That's all I really wanted to say on fighting this week. So let's jump it into football.
All right. Well, before we jump into Sunday, I just want to talk real quick about Saturday. As you can tell, I'm not wearing Oregon. I'm repping. This is my alma mater, University of Buffalo. My boy Jarrett Patterson, over 400 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, tied the NCAA record. Dude, it was unbelievable. It was just like anytime they handed it to him, just breaking tackles, just out. 70-yard touchdown run, 25-yard touchdown run. Doesn't matter where they were on the field. He now has 16 touchdowns and over 900 yards in 4 games.
That's crazy.
I've been tweeting it. # Jarrett Patterson for Heisman. I don't think it's gaining a lot of traction nationwide. But he's got to be on some watch list for the Doak Walker Award for Best Running Back. Maybe get a little chatter for All-American. Like, 900 yards. I know he's playing in the MAC, and I know it's not top-tier competition, but 900 yards in 4 games. That's something. 8 touchdowns is going to be in the record books. He tied the record, so next time somebody's up there, you're going to be like, University of Buffalo.
I think it's just, compared to some of the other people, like your Trevor Lawrences and blah, 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 I think it's just too small of a sample size to call it, you know what I mean, comparatively.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, regardless, he's going up against guys who have Division I scholarships, and he's able to score 8 touchdowns on them.
No, I agree. It's just,
and
I feel
his backup had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns too. So if Lance Leipold, who's done a great job turning Buffalo around, great job, Lance. If Lance wanted to, Jarrett could have had the touchdown record and could have probably had the yardage record. I think he needed like 430 yards.
could have happened.
And as ridiculous as it sounds, they are currently 11 votes shy of being ranked in the AP poll. That's just me talking UB. UB horns up. I think that's the thing. I don't really remember, to be honest. It's been a while.
I'm not the college football guy.
Yeah, Buffalo's not a dominant college program. Our best player is Khalil Mack. You might have heard of him. But just wanted to get out there that our guy Jarrett Patterson was mentioned by LeBron, mentioned all over SportsCenter for having a great game. Shout out Jarrett Patterson. And then the other big college football story is Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller. I believe first female to play a Division I game. She made history.
First female to play in the Power 5 conference.
Okay. Yeah, so that's unbelievable for Sarah Fuller. That's got to be incredible for any like you were saying with the Pauls, people watching how it impacts kids. If you're a girl anywhere in this country and you're watching football, seeing Sarah Fuller has to be an inspiration.
No, for real. And like everyone is giving her shit on her kick. It's like she was kicking an onside kick. Like it's not like she was fucking sending it.
It's not. That's not even okay. Regardless, I don't think that's the takeaway. I mean, she's on a really bad team. So if we're gonna
I agree.
If we're gonna criticize plays, let's remember that Vanderbilt only crossed the 50 one time, and they fired their coach afterwards. It's the precedent.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm
Yeah.
saying these people shouldn't be roasting her for doing an onside kick like she was trying to send it because she just
Right.
wasn't. You know
The
what I
tiny
mean?
dick energy for anyone who's online on their keyboard saying Sarah Fuller had a bad kick. Okay.
It's just you're mad
right.
that as a dude you couldn't make it and do these things and even step on a college field in any way, shape, or form. So now you're mad that a girl who for some reason you think is like makes her less of a talent.
Like, how fragile is your masculinity? I mean, I've never played D1 sports. Did you play D1 college?
I definitely did not.
I mean, unbelievable. Sarah Fuller, you got two fans right here.
Yeah. And if you're trying to roast her on Twitter, shut the fuck up. Fucking
Like, you just gotta just gotta respect it. It's
yeah. Like,
a moment of history.
have you ever done something that no one else in history has ever done?
No, I have not.
Okay, then shut up.
Exactly. All right. Shall we move to NFL Sunday action?
Let's hit it. We're gonna start off like usual, being goddamn depressed. I know over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been saying trade the pick, get more weapons for Sam Darnold. I'm not sure if I'm on that train anymore after this game. He did not look good.
He did not look good.
You could he's been out for a few weeks, so there always is that rust and not just being in the game. So we'll see how next week goes.
And the Dolphins have a very solid defense.
Yeah, it's not like they're slouches.
It's not like he put up less than a full fantasy point against the Atlanta Falcons. Derek Carr. We'll get to that.
Oof.
But Darnold did not look great. And you and I had said this, and they said this during the broadcast. This was the first time, I think Gase actually said that before the game, that this was the first time we saw Darnold, Crowder, Perriman, and Mims on the field at the same time.
Right.
It did not prove to do much because he threw 2 interceptions and the Jets only had 3 points. There's not a whole lot I can take away from this game. Like, when we were talking about the Monday night game where they almost beat the Patriots but didn't, but looked competitive.
Yeah.
That wasn't really the case here. They looked terrible.
I think a big part of that was not only Sam's rust, not only whatever, but I feel like he was making bad decisions trying to, and I think they even said it on the broadcast, play hero ball.
Yes. Or, and this is a hot take, this might be tinfoil hat right now, maybe Sam Darnold is so sick and tired of the Jets' shit that he is trying to play his way out of the Jets' role, get replaced by Trevor Lawrence, because like we keep saying, as soon as Sam Darnold gets signed by another team, he'll be all right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If he keeps, the reason I wouldn't think that, if he keeps playing so terribly, when they try to trade him, no one's going to take him.
Did you watch the Bears play? I think the Bears would take him. I think the Bears need a quarterback. I mean, I think he'll land on his feet. Trevor Lawrence can come in. I don't think that's going to make the team better, as we saw. Like, there's just nothing. I mean, the defense, I guess, had a couple of sacks, which is cool. They slowed down Fitzpatrick, which, I don't know. He's Fitzpatrick. Like, we're talking about Mike Tyson and Fitzpatrick in the same weekend. What year is it?
Yeah.
The Jets are awful. The Dolphins are okay.
I think the Dolphins are looking actually pretty well, just in the AFC situation. I know the Bills picked up a big win this week, but they've been given some questions, I feel like, the last few weeks, like more than they had in the beginning of the season, per se.
Yeah, well, they had a big 5-game win streak come to an end in Denver.
Right.
They didn't have Tua this week. I think they were down to just Matt Breida and Laird, the 2 running backs, so they were without several of their running backs. The offense didn't look great, but they scored 20 points, which is 17 and more than they needed to win the game. So
Exactly.
I mean, the Jets also had, at one point, I think the end of the first half, it was 13-3. They had the ball in the Dolphins' 20, inside the 20. They just ran a run play, a screen play, and a run play, and it just looked awful. They come out with 3 seconds left to kick a field goal. 0-11. You're down by 10 to a divisional team.
Yep.
Why not take a shot at the end zone? I mean, you missed a 29-yarder, which is a chip shot. But why not? Why not? Like, what happens there?
I just think they wanted to make sure they came away with points, and then that all got
It
fucked up.
backfired.
And, fucking, who is it right now for the Jets? I can't even think of their kicker right now because we never
Sergio
even see
Castillo.
him. That's it.
My good friend. I actually have a very good friend named Sergio Castillo.
But when he is on the field, he's actually been kicking pretty well this season. But he's just never on the field because they never give any opportunity for scores.
They don't move the ball very much. They don't get into field goal range. Like, I don't know. I mean, watching the Bears last night and the Jets, there's two offenses where you think, are they going to get to field goal range? Probably not. Most of the time, not. So the Jets looking terrible.
But that's what we've come to expect from the Jets. So
from a fantasy standpoint, just take whatever starting quarterback is facing the Jets because they really do not have a secondary. So Fitzmagic, currently quarterback 6th in fantasy. Not bad considering most people probably didn't have him.
True. But that whole defense is fucked up right now because what's his name? Why can't I think of his name right now? The linebacker that opted out.
Mosley, CJ
Yeah.
Mosley,
They're
highest paid player on the team.
They're out CJ Mosley. They traded Leonard Williams, so they only have Quentin Williams on the inside. They really have no real edge rush.
They got rid of Jamal before the year. We don't talk about that.
Like
Brian Poole.
They have no strong point on.
They cut
defense.
Pierre Desser because he was just so bad, and then Brian Poole is on season-ending IR. It's like we were saying with Braxton Berrios and these practice squad receivers. Now you have practice squad cornerbacks. So,
where they have like a couple little things that they might do, like Crowder's a great slot receiver. Sam, when he's on, can show you a little bit here and there, even though, again, like I'm saying, I'm not as sold on him as I used to. And Frank Gore doesn't age. So they have little things on offense that you could like say are upper points for them, but defense they have nothing.
Well, Frank Gore's 36th and he carried the ball 21 times. So I'm just saying, like I was saying with the field goal being we want the points, being very conservative with it, and then you have a rookie receiver, you have Darnold who's young, air it out. No, we're going to run it 21 times, not with our rookie running back who we're going to build around, but with Frank Gore, who realistically, I don't think he's going to be there next year. And if he is, he's going to be 37. What do you expect of him?
Pete Ryan was hurt this week, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I know, but I mean, just air it out. Worst case, I mean, the team's 0-11.
No, I get it.
They're not going anywhere. There's nothing to lose.
I get it.
If you're Gase, this is the time where you dial up the flea flickers and the double reverses and the Philly. Like, who cares?
At this point, fucking try.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they're going to go, realistically, they're going to go 0-16. I don't see them winning a game. And just burn it down. Gase going to be gone, just going to start brand new.
Which is what I feel like we do every fucking 2 seasons.
Yeah. It's a miserable life for Jet fans. So the other New York team, the first place New York Football Giants.
Jesus Christ.
This is before the Eagles game. I'm not sure if an Eagles win puts them in first place if they beat Seattle on Monday. I'm not sure how the math works because of the tie, but right now the New York Giants are in first place after beating the Bengals. 19-17, the Bengals kind of came back on them. And Daniel Jones got hurt.
Who's their backup right now?
Colt McCoy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah, that's definitely, I would say, a downgrade, even though he's been playing a little suspect at the time, too, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but Jones seemed like he was figuring it out. I had him in fantasy. He had about 10.5 points in the first half. He was doing all right until he got hurt. They were winning that game. The Giants' defense looks really good. One of the scores for the Bengals was on a kick return for touchdown, which is kind of ironic because Joe Judge, the coach of the Giants, was a special teams coach, and he got beat on special teams. But if you're the Giants right now, I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. Are you sure you really want to do this? Are we really going all in? Because right now, they're looking at the playoffs, which moves them from 6th to 19th in the draft. And right now, you might be playing a playoff game against the Cardinals, against the Rams, against the Bucks, with Colt McCoy as your quarterback.
Yeah, that's not. Well, I don't know how serious the Daniel Jones injury. I don't know if he's going to be out for 5-6 weeks. He could be. I haven't heard anything about the severity of it, but
yeah, I'm not sure either just yet. But I know he came in for like a play, maybe 2 plays, and he tested it out and just instantly just knew it wasn't good. It was a non-contact injury, so usually those are a little more scary because muscle tears.
Yeah.
Either way, the Giants' defense looks good. The Giants' offense, I mean, Ingram played really well, which is something you want to see. Slayton, who I don't think had a catch. I don't think Slayton did anything, but he can.
Yeah,
He can go off. Tate is a professional. He's going to get his job done. Next year, Saquon comes back.
and with those three, adding in Sterling Shepard, I think is a solid little core.
Yeah, definitely.
Between the three of them, you know what I mean? So they definitely have more upside than, say, the Jets
Yeah,
as of right now.
I think every team in the league probably is more upside than the Jets.
Yeah, well,
I just think the Giants are just going to be in this weird scenario where winning the division this year is going to feel really good, but might hurt them moving forward because the Washington football team and Dallas played on Thanksgiving. We can get into that game in a minute. Washington defense looks really good with Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
I mean, they've been looking really good.
So they got something building there. If they, again, it's the 6th pick if you don't make the playoffs, something to build. The 19th pick if you do make the playoffs, which is still a pick, but
Yeah, but even the Jets, even though I am wanting that first round pick and I don't want to just hand it to Jacksonville, I can't help but root for them to win.
yeah.
So I would guess as a Jet fan and as a Giant fan and all the Giant fans I've talked to, you want the playoff.
Of course you want the playoffs, and it's going to be a home game, which there's no crowd, but it's the idea of being a home game in January in New York. If you get the Rams, the Cardinals, one of those, even Tampa Bay, a warm weather team in New York, anything can happen any given Sunday.
And it's also just getting the young players to feel the pressure of a game like that.
Absolutely.
Even though they probably won't win it.
Probably, but no, you're right. It definitely makes a difference if you're a young Daniel Jones.
You can feel the stakes. You can feel it, so you know the next time when you are actually primed to make a run and not just a product of a terrible division.
Do you think 2 years ago we'd be saying that Daniel Jones would make the playoffs before Sam Darnold? Or I'm honestly, at the end of last year, Darnold was looking good. The Jets finished 7-9
on draft night. No, I wouldn't have thought that.
No,
but after his first few games, I would have thought that.
Yeah.
Just because they do show some upside, even though the Saquon Barkley pick was a bad pick. I'm sorry, that is what that is. He's a great player and he's good for the franchise, but just in the grand scheme of things, you shouldn't have taken him second overall. It just is what it is.
I disagree. I think Saquon was coming out was the most surefire thing for the Giants to do there.
I know, but they needed a quarterback. That was a very quarterback heavy draft. Look who was there.
Yeah.
I obviously couldn't take Baker Mayfield, but Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson,
Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, somewhere in the NFL, we think.
Oh yeah, he's on the Bucs practice squad. I know that for a fact.
Okay, so
I wasn't sure if he was the backup or the practice squad, but I know he's on the Bucs.
He's in the building, so that's good.
Yeah.
The Giants, I'm really just hoping find a way to win the division at 5-11, 6-10. But I know they got some tough games coming up. I know they have at least the Browns and the Ravens. Although the Ravens, I don't know what to make of them with all of their COVID testing. They might not.
Jeez.
I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an interesting game. The schedule does not look favorably upon the Giants.
Yeah. And I guess that's probably the best way to segue in to the whole Raven situation. I think it fucking sucks that this whole situation was brought on by a coach. One of the guys who's supposed to be ruling the roost almost, being an example, being the guy to reel in all these young guys who might make stupid decisions. He's supposed to be the guy that's the rock of the group, and he fucked it up for everybody.
And the scariest thing actually right now, regardless of your football opinions, Mark Andrews is a type 1 diabetic, and he tested positive for COVID. So did James Conner, who is a cancer survivor on the Steelers. So first and foremost, we want the best for everyone's health. That's the most important thing. From a football standpoint, yeah, I agree. The coaches have to be as much, if not more, cautious than the players. It comes down to just wear masks. What's going on with Denver.
Wear your contact tracing bracelet that like,
Follow the protocols, and just for anybody watching this, like wearing a mask is a good idea. Like,
and he did, but that's the thing, he did everything wrong. He didn't wear a mask. He didn't wear his contact tracing thing. He didn't like. He was obviously going out. He had to get it from somewhere. Like,
yeah, you're great point, and I think especially with Thanksgiving, we're gonna start seeing a lot of positives coming up. People probably saw their family. I think the NFL actually said that for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for these 3 days, that they're just not opening any of their offices. They want none of the teams to meet in person unless they're playing. So we have the Seahawks, Eagles, Steelers, Ravens. They're going to meet, but
with
COVID is going to be running rapid through the NFL very soon.
yeah, especially with the spike going on and Thanksgiving just happened and everyone's stupid, and so it's just the cases are going to jump in the next 2 weeks. I guarantee it.
And I totally understand where Denver fans are upset because they had to play a game without a quarterback, did not go well for them, and the Ravens are getting this game pushed from originally Thanksgiving, so it's going to be 5 days later. The way the NFL explained it actually kind of makes sense. Like
Transmission windows and
I don't like Roger Goodell, just all of the weird shit, but he does kind of make a point here with the Broncos. It wasn't an outbreak as much as it was isolated to a position group,
right,
where it sucks because it's the quarterback, most important position group. I mean, if it was the fullbacks, then you'd say, oh, that's tough, but
right.
carry on. With the Ravens, it's the whole team.
Yeah, it was, well, one backup got it, but Bortles and Drew Lock were
in the room not wearing masks.
Right. So they pulled them off as a precautionary idea. Bortles and Drew Lock have not tested positive, but it's just you had to do what you had to do.
I wonder if teams are going to start going with a designated survivor scenario.
Well, the Eagles have done that. The Eagles are paying Josh McCown $12,000 a week to not come to practice.
I can't think of a better job in America than to be paid, which is
$12,000 a week.
$12,000 a week to not show up to work. That's $60,000 a month to not show up to your job site.
I think he still zooms in and
no, dude,
goes over game plan, but still
he hasn't put on a pair of pants in months, and he's getting paid.
No, I know he does have some sort of
pants.
Well, yes, pants, but I know he has some sort of workout routine that he has to do to keep himself in shape.
Yeah, of course, but I think that's probably going to be a thing going forward. A lot of teams are going to have this designated survivor where it's we have all of our quarterbacks right here, except for one. He's under the team facilities in a secure location.
And I think that's how you'd have to do it. And then you also had the Broncos tried to play a coach, but the NFL was like, nah, I'm good.
Well, I was stunned that John Elway himself wasn't just all right, guys, I guess I'll put myself in.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to.
Oh, yeah, that egotistical bastard. Come on.
If I told you Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson fought and John Elway quarterbacked the game for the Broncos, bro, it's a time travel.
Yo, it is 99, huh?
It's such a weird, yeah. Let's get back into going over the games. Should we do Thanksgiving real quick? The Texans destroying the Lions. It was 41-25, but Deshaun Watson had himself a day.
Oh, yeah, he did. And I feel like Matt Stafford is another just incredible quarterback that is getting wasted.
That's the story of the Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, first it was Barry Sanders, then Calvin Johnson, Stafford. I mean, both of those teams fired their fired their coaches this year, so both are open for next year. If you're in the coaching carousel, I think the Texans have to look a million times more attractive than the Lions.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I think they look a little less attractive now that they traded D-Hop, but...
Well, that was also a result of Bill O'Brien being the coach and GM and not knowing how to make a trade.
I don't know... I understand Belichick did it for a while and blah, 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 but name one other time that it's worked out.
No, whenever you're comparing someone to Belichick, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Because Belichick can do something that doesn't work for anybody and make it work. It didn't work for Bill O'Brien.
Look at Bill O'Brien. Look at Chip Kelly. You should not have that much control of a team. You need that checks and balances to be hey, maybe trading D-Hop because you're an asshole and don't like him is probably not a great idea.
Yeah, and they got David Johnson, so he's missed 3 games with a concussion, and they also, remember, they gave up their first-round pick. So the Texans won. They're still, I think, 3-8. maybe got to fact check that. Maybe 4-7. They're still not looking good. Pretty much done from the playoffs, and they're not going to have their first round pick. So, congrats on the big win, beating the Lions.
Probably not a good idea, though. Though, to be fair to them, we keep talking about how the Jets shouldn't win. The Giants, should you go for it, should you not? They don't have to worry about that because they don't have a first-round pick.
That's true. They're playing completely just... And I think part of that, I think it's partially why Watson's been going nuts these last couple weeks, is he knows, like, best case you win a game, worst case you lose a game. That's it. There's nothing more to it.
And the interim head coach is like, hey, if I could win out from here, it doesn't fuck with our draft picks. It doesn't fuck with anything else. And
it's Romeo Crennel. Like, he's been around the league for so long. It's not like he's not concerned that, I have to win every single game if I want to have a career in the NFL. He knows he'll be somewhere.
But he can also get a head coaching job out of this with people who some people call the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks if he can ever get it together with the right team.
Well, on the other side of it, the Lions fired Matt Patricia. Who, I don't know what you do there, because you have a pretty bad defense, you have a pretty bad offensive line, and Stafford, like we said, he's been really good. He's never reached that great status because the Lions are just the Lions.
But I can never remember a time where I'm just like, oh, he has a great team around him. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's not like he's had the opportunities of I don't know, Kyler Murray or Pat Mahomes or...
Yeah, no, the Lions just definitely never really fully gave him the weapons. I mean, Calvin Johnson, but even then they had no rush game, and they didn't... I don't think they maybe won one playoff game. They never had a run. Part of it is that Aaron Rodgers has been winning the division constantly, and the Bears won it once or twice, and the Vikings, like, they have a shitty, tough divisional record every year. But
I want to get into the Bears game, though, because this is going to be a little bit of a hot take. I'm starting to think it's more about the coaching staff than it is the quarterback situation there.
All right, so we're going to make the jump from the Texans, the first game of the week, to the night game.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
I do not care about the scheduled times. I'm just going to talk about them when they call up.
I'm literally just looking like up and down the sheet. Let's do it. The Bears got embarrassed by the Packers again on national television.
But it's the Packers. Like, what do you expect?
I agree with you. I mean, I thought I thought it would just be lower scoring. I didn't think Aaron Rodgers would throw 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah,
like it was nothing.
That defense is serious, whether the offense can get it together or not.
Packers got a defensive score because Trubisky had two fumbles, one of which he got back, and then
2 picks?
2 picks, yeah. But he also had 2 touchdown drives where he didn't look terrible. So
yeah, he scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with you. The coaching staff, Nagy's got to be fired. I don't know who's calling the plays over there, if Nagy handed it off, but they don't have anything going.
See, that's the thing, because everyone tries to blame the quarterback or blame whoever, so that's also another reason why I've kind of stayed with Sam Darnold, even though, like I said, even his last game, he wasn't looking that good. It's if your coaching staff is calling plays that don't put you in the right situations, you know what I mean? Sometimes hero ball is all you can do. And that's going to lead to interceptions. That's going to lead to fumbles. It's going to lead to everything.
Well, yes. And you saw that, especially with Trubisky, his 2 interceptions. Both times, it was just throwing it downfield into double coverage, hoping for a miracle play to be the hero.
Right.
So I think a lot of that also has to do with the line, not really giving him time to make the full reads and full progressions.
True.
Their big play for the Bears, like the big takeaway, was that David Montgomery had like a 54-yard run that didn't even end up it wasn't even a score.
Right.
So that was their longest play of the season that wasn't a touchdown. And then on the other side, Aaron Rodgers just flicks his wrist and just finds everyone for any amount of yards he needs.
Aaron Rodgers, he just sends that Jordan Love call. And I understand it's not the same coach anymore, so that plays a factor into it. But goddamn, like he that lit a fire under him, my guy.
Well, we were talking about it a week ago when they had the close win over the Jags. How sometimes I guess it's just very much a week to week thing. Where against the Jaguars, and they came out flat against the Bucs. Some weeks they just come out, don't have the game plan. This week against the divisional opponent, Aaron Rodgers in primetime, like, obviously Devontae Adams is incredible.
Right.
But when Tunyon is looking like a star tight end, when Lazard's making these great plays, it's just Aaron Rodgers is just clicking, and it's just going to be very hard to beat if they play like that.
Yeah. Well, whenever Aaron Rodgers is on, it doesn't matter who's around him. He could be throwing to fucking sacks of potatoes. He'll get the most out of those sacks of potatoes.
He will. Those are some very mediocre but looking good sacks of potatoes.
Right, exactly.
Aaron Rodgers has more touchdown passes this year than he had all of last year. That's something.
Yeah, but he was battling through some stuff last year, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they were just more of a running dominant team last
True.
year. Aaron Jones still has having a good season. He had 100 yards last night, but he just didn't have to. I don't know. It's just
I think all the pieces they do have are firing on all cylinders this year, which is big for them, but I just feel like they need more pieces.
I need to see consistency. I need to see them do this like 3 weeks in a row, and then I'll be all in on like, yes, the Packers are going to run to the Super Bowl.
That's not even what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, Devontae Adams is having a good year. Aaron Jones is having a good year. Aaron Rodgers is having a good year, which is all great and will lead to winning games, but they need that, as we've said, as everyone said every week, they need that other option to also be doing good, to really put them in that, okay, this is someone who's going to be a contender for the next 2-3 years.
Right. I think with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, they're going to always be in the conversation.
Right.
But just like we were saying, where they lost at home to the Vikings, that just surprises me. You know, they have games where they come out and they didn't look good against the Jaguars, and then last night they came out and they looked incredible. So I see a little hot and cold there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Vikings are look what they did to the number one defense in the league this week.
The Vikings didn't play the number one defense in the league. They played the Panthers.
Oh, I was thinking the Titans. My bad. Never mind. Lied.
We could jump to that game, the Titans-Colts, because that was one that I got wrong. Sorry about that one.
Yeah, but
Derrick Henry is a grown man.
playing amongst toddlers, it looks like.
Derrick Henry, second half of the season, man. That's what he does. Late November into December, the Titans won this one 45-26 over the Colts, but this game was never that close. Henry had over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half.
I know. There's something in the water in the first half of this, in the first half of games this week.
Right? I was just looking at the numbers of the first half. Mahomes had 350, 4 touchdowns the first half. Insane. But back to Henry. Interesting stat I heard this morning. Derrick Henry in his career, weeks 1 through 11, he averages 4.3 yards a carry, which is good.
Yeah.
In 50 games, he has like 23 touchdowns or 25 touchdowns, which is good. And his career from week 12 on, it's like 22 games, 23 touchdowns, and averages 5.6 yards a carry. So something happens at the end of the season where either he just turns it up a notch, maybe he's just in better shape, and other guys, like, defenses start to get tired.
No,
he doesn't.
I think it's more of just the fact that they always come into these later, like the later part of the series, at least the past couple of years. They always come in on that, like, borderline, could be a playoff team, could not. And so once he hits that point, he turns it up, being like, no, we're going to be a playoff team.
That's true. They are now 8-3, and
Right.
this win, I think, gives them, well, I don't know, because they split with the Colts, so I think they have the tiebreaker. They're ahead of the Colts, but 2 weeks ago they lost to the Colts. So,
Right.
I think they have, I don't know, I think they have a legitimate chance, the Titans, this year, because their defense played well. Henry's unstoppable. If Tannehill doesn't fuck up, then they can score points.
And honestly, Henry, especially with this week, has put himself, at least in my opinion, very, very at the top of the top in the MVP race.
Yeah, he's in my conversation. You have him as number 1.
I wouldn't say number 1, but I think he's up there now.
I think it's going to be hard for anybody to take it from Patrick Mahomes, especially because just
Yeah, he's having a lights out season, and
Mahomes.
I completely agree with you. But if you want to talk about most valuable player to their team,
yes.
I think I would say not saying that that's how the MVP is voted for, but if you want to look at it as just which is the person who is the most valuable to their team out of anyone else, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah. That's one way to interpret the award, and I agree. I would
I'm
put
not saying that's how it is actually interpretive, but
like we were just talking about Aaron Rodgers though. I'd put him also very much in the if you take Aaron Rodgers off the Packers, how many games did they win?
I agree.
So, but the Titans are looking very solid. Another interesting play from the Titans game. I don't know if you caught the onside kick that AJ Brown took.
Yeah.
The Colts went for an onside kick to try to give himself some life, I guess, and AJ Brown took it and went to the house.
Hey, Colts, you don't have Pat McAfee anymore. I know, it sucks. He was the best at it, but who does onside kicks anymore?
Yeah, it's wild how like 2 weeks ago all the special team players were like the Colts blocked the Titans, then the Colts the Titans had the shitty punt and the Titans kept messing up on special teams, and this week it was the Titans making an incredible special teams play. I think a lot of it too was just knowing that game 2 weeks ago, the Titans just wanted to come out and punch him in the mouth.
But you also have to understand, like, it's like the reason you don't see onside kicks really as much anymore, unless it's in like a super desperation mode, is the rules have changed.
Yes.
You're not allowed to have a run up. You're not like it used to be a lot easier to get an onside kick.
And even then, with you saying easier, even then it was still like 10% of the time.
Yeah.
Now it's down to like 4.
I think it's even less. I think it's like 2.
Really? Yeah. I'm just thinking about the one with the Falcons Cowboys earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just very weird. I don't like that. I think the onside kick is such a like we just said, such a unlikely to happen thing to just like make the rules make it that much harder.
Well, it's one of the plays that also has the highest chance of someone getting hurt statistically.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I think they're trying to phase it out to begin with. They're proposing rule changes where, like, I think it's something like you get like a fourth. It's like a 4th and 15 on your own like 25 or something, and you have like it's something weird like that.
And like if you convert, you get the ball.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, ball don't lie. Earn the onside kick. I like that a lot because it's the offense that's going to come out and take over.
Yeah, and
make it fun.
And then, but it's still a big risk because it's on your own 25. It's not like it's on someone else's.
Oh, and it's like a live ball. Like if you don't get it, they take over at the 25.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. Doug Peterson will go for it every single time, but it'll be interesting. Let's move on to another AFC game. I'm looking at the Bills 27 over the Chargers 17. Joey Bosa is a problem. He had, I believe, 7 tackles and 3 sacks.
Yeah.
I did nice little write-up to my own horn. Josh Allen, ESPN projected Josh Allen to have 25 points as the number 1 quarterback. I said to sit him. He had 15 points, which is not bad. He did have a couple interceptions late in the game. He had the rush touchdown. So if you take the rushing touchdown out, he would have had 9 points.
Yeah.
Joey Bosa going up against a backup tackle, right tackle, Cody Ford for the Bills was out. You had a backup right tackle against Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa had every play he was on Josh Allen. Josh Allen's still able to run and get touchdown, able to make plays. Good win for the Bills.
You know who I feel bad for? Now, just thinking about it, talking about Joey Bosa. I feel bad for the Watt brothers.
Yeah.
Because they were the dominant defensive brothers in the league. And before they could even retire, they've been completely wiped out by the Bosas.
I don't know about that. J.J. Watt had a pick 6 on Thanksgiving. T.J. Watt's having an incredible season. I think they would be, like, all right, we're talking about celebrity boxing. Let's do a 2-on-2 tag team, Watt brothers, Bosa brothers. Who wins?
I'd probably say Bosas at this point.
Oh, you're forgetting there's a third Watt. Derek Watt. He's a fullback for the Steelers.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? Do 2-on-1?
Yeah, it'd be 3-on-2 total.
This ain't Russia.
There's no rules.
But no, but like they're younger. B, from the second both of them stepped into the league, they took over their defenses. They completely changed the script.
And they're both prima donnas at Ohio State and said that they wanted to shut down early to get ready for the draft rather than play with their team. Which like, I totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a moral victory in a bowl game or...
like, $40 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Right decision, okay. Sorry for calling you divas, Bosas.
Yeah, like...
If you want to kick my ass,
if
probably.
you're a smart person, that's what you're going to do.
That's what you're going to do. I'm just upset with the Chargers because late in the game, like the very end of the game, 4th down, Hail Mary, they got it. Keenan Allen shoved off, they got it. Okay, flag because it was a very clear push off. So they replay it. They got it again. They got the Hail Mary a second time.
That's crazy.
They ran down, no timeouts left at the Bills' like 5-yard line, and they hand it off. Why would you run it? Like, literally, you take a shot at the end zone, you spike it, you kick it. I don't know. Do something other than run the ball. And the Chargers could have covered that game. And I have Keenan Allen, so I would have liked a touchdown. A lot of personal investment there. But, like, if you're Anthony Lynn, I just want to know the thought process there, running the ball.
I mean, I guess catch him off guard, maybe. That would be the only thing I could say.
Nah, it did not happen. So, the Chargers, we know Herbert's really good, Bosa's really good. Next year, probably going to be a new coach in town, hopefully. Sorry, Anthony Lynn. The Chargers, look, they're not having a good year this year. All close losses. I could see them being a team to keep an eye on next year.
But it's they're having an bad year.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like their record might not show it, but you're seeing the things that you're going to build around for the future.
Absolutely. And like next year you're going to have Melvin Ingram back for the whole season. Derwin James is going to be back for the whole season. Eckler had just missed, I think, 7 games before this one. So
right.
If you're, again, I don't know if Anthony Lynn's on the hot seat. I just said that because he fucked up at the end of the game.
Right.
I would love to take over. If I'm a coach in the carousel, I would love to take over the Chargers.
100%.
Especially because you have the Chiefs. So it's like if you win the division, unbelievable. If you don't win the division, yeah, the Chiefs won the division. Like, what do you expect?
I want to know what's going on with coaching in the last couple of years, because I feel like coaching has been way more of a carousel than it has been in the last 10 years before or so. Like, I feel like every year there's like 5 or 6 coaches getting fired.
What have you done lately?
I know, but like I feel like it wasn't like that earlier in the 20 teens even.
I think part of it has to do with the way that like Herbert is coming in as a rookie and just setting the league on fire. And you're seeing like Mahomes in his second year, Lamar in his second year, Kyler in his second year, where like you can see these guys come in very young, turn a team around. Where if you're like the Lions, who have been bad for a long time, and you're just not seeing the turnaround, or like the Jaguars. The Jaguars are just head to toe, just terrible in terms of their picks and stuff, but the Jaguars keep not turning it around. Like they took a shot on Nick Foles, didn't work out. See, a lot of teams make sharp turns and get better, and then the teams that just don't turn around and get better just run out of patience with their coaches.
I know, but even like you just said, Herbert, Anthony Lynn is not looking like he's going to make it out of this year.
No, and like not entirely his fault, injuries, but they've lost a ton of close games, and you got to think like to what extent, if you had a different coach, would they have won some of those games? I'm not saying they're all on him.
No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is what do you think it is that is making the league such a carousel of coaches where historically I feel like it hasn't been like this?
Owners are just trying to find that right coach quarterback combo.
See, I think it's the rule changes. I think it's people trying to figure out what works and what doesn't in this new NFL we have. And I'm not, again, I always bring up the rule changes. I'm not rallying against the rule changes. I think protecting guys' brains and, you know what I mean, protecting the quarterbacks from taking these giant hits from 370-pound men is probably a good idea. But it's just the impact on how it's been going. It's changing.
Yeah, but
how you run an offense, how you run a defense, how, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, this could be the transition to the next game, but you look at the Falcons playing with, after they fired Dan Quinn, Raheem Morris has been the interim coach. They're 4-2 under him.
Right.
So I think teams are seeing things like that, and they're like, okay, maybe if we can just switch the coach, keep Matt Ryan, keep the same players on the field, just a different system, it could flip that quick. And
True.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think, you saw it with Sean McVay came in and took the Rams to the Super Bowl. You saw Kyle Shanahan take the 49ers to the Super Bowl. You're seeing quicker turnarounds. Do we want to talk about the Falcons, or do you have more thoughts on the coaching?
No, I just personally think it's strange that just out of nowhere, like, coaches have always been a hot seat type job. Like it's always been a "What have you done for me lately?"
Right.
But it just feels like before recently, like
The leash has gotten shorter.
right. That's the only point I really wanted to make. But yeah, let's definitely get into the Falcons Raiders game because what happened to the Raiders?
The Raiders make no sense.
They really don't.
They beat the Chiefs last week. They were in the game with the Chiefs until the last minute, and then they lost 43-6 to Atlanta. And the Falcons didn't have Julio Jones.
I mean, maybe it really was the coaching situation on the Falcons that was their problem.
I mean, Derek Carr, I'm so mad at you, Derek Carr. I wrote him up. I told everybody, like, Derek Carr against the Falcons are smash spot. Like, quarterbacks against the Falcons, dude. Wonderful. Derek Carr had 0.6 fantasy points on ESPN, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. He got benched for Nathan Peterman. If you're getting benched for Nathan Peterman, your career should be over. Cleveland Browns. They won 27-25 over the Jaguars.
8-3 out of nowhere, my guy. 8-3. Like, that's crazy. Like, I didn't even think about it, and then I was just going through the scores, watching Red Zone. 'Cause I was watching Red Zone on my phone, and like they have all the scores right there for you, and I was going through, and I was like, wait a minute. The Browns are 8-3 after all of Baker's struggles in the beginning of the year. Everyone writing Baker off.
Myles Garrett missing games with COVID. Like, they're still, they're doing what they need to do.
I honestly think like they're gonna be the sneaky team in the playoffs this year because when they do get it together and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are going off and Landry's making catches and
Landry and Nick Chubb both had amazing games.
and I hate to say it, I feel like losing Odell this year helped them. And not because I don't think Odell is an amazing talent, but I feel like the last couple of years, Baker was trying too hard to force it to Odell.
To force the ball to Odell. Yeah.
Just knowing who Odell is and what kind of talent he is. But
I
it
agree.
doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're getting forced the ball in bad situations, you're not going to be able to make where you might be able to make that play when someone else can't. You're not going to make every single one.
That makes the Browns also have to run the ball, and we see with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're really good at running the ball.
That might be the best 1-2 punch in the league.
Oh, I would say definitely. Absolutely, because Kareem Hunt, we know, could start for any team.
Any team.
But had his off-the-field issues. The Browns, however, I didn't watch all of that game. Red Zone kind of ignored it because there was not a whole lot of red zone plays. There was a fourth down that the Jaguars were marching downfield late in the game. Browns are up by 8. The Browns sacked the quarterback, Mike Glennon. The Browns sacked him and still got a roughing the passer call, despite the quarterback not releasing the ball, which I understand. Like we keep saying, player safety, I get it. If he doesn't release the ball, when do you stop as a defensive player?
But that's the thing. It's not that he didn't release the ball. It's that you're not allowed to come down on the quarterback with all your weight.
Yeah, I don't know. If you watch the highlight, it really didn't look like there was much else that he could do, the defensive player, because at that point it was just a sack. Like I get it. If there's a play where Mahomes released the ball 2 seconds later got hit, I get it. Of course, protect the player. This didn't look like that, and it was a 4th and 10 or whatever. It basically sealed the game, but then they gave the Jaguars the first down. The Jaguars scored. The Jaguars could have got a 2-point conversion and tied that game. Like the Browns, if the Browns had tied and that game went to overtime, if the Browns had lost that game and the Browns fans were pissed, I would completely agree with them.
No, I'm not even saying like that they can't. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm not saying it's the fairest thing to the defense that they can't do this to the quarterback, but I think they're just trying to protect their investment. They understand that the quarterback is the thing that's going to bring in the most eyes, bring in the most money for people, especially a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Or
oh no,
like
this was on the Jaguars.
No, I know.
This was Mike Glennon.
No, I know.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying just like the personality type of. I was just using Baker Mayfield. I would have used him whether they were playing the Browns or not. But I think it's just more about protecting the investment and just having a 320-pound man flop with all his weight on the most important part of the team.
I get it.
Is not a way to protect your investment.
I get it, and I understand. I guess I'm just going with like the what if they had got the 2-point conversion. I would give the Browns fans a lot of "you're right" in being angry of that, but it didn't happen. It didn't matter because the Browns still won that game. Browns, like you said, are 8-3. Do you think? So, I guess my question is: are you thinking the Browns can make some noise?
Yeah, I definitely could at this point. With Nick Chubb back, having that 1-2 punch, Landry's been playing well. I think they definitely have a solid case to make a run in the playoffs.
Well, they're not going to have a home field game because the Steelers are going to win the division, but they will have the better seed in the wild card at 8-3. My concern with them is that when you look at those 3 losses, eaten alive by the Steelers twice, and steamrolled by the Ravens. So when they play against the better teams, they don't show up necessarily.
I also think they're more figuring it out later in the season, even though it wasn't the best game against the Jaguars.
But again, like I said, that roughing the passer doesn't get called. They win this game. It would have been 27-19, and everybody would be like, "Oh, they beat the Jaguars. It was fine."
Yeah, but I don't know. It just came out of nowhere to me that they were 8-3, and then but then I went back and really thought about it. Like, their defense is good. Miles Garrett is a fucking nightmare for any quarterback.
Yes.
Especially for Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've just gone so under the radar, and at this point, I think people need to start putting them on their radar.
They definitely are a team that can make some noise. I'm just concerned that they don't show up to the top of the top level of competition. One little side note, one little teaser note, file away, whatever, do whatever you want with it. About this game, Mike Lennon had 18 fantasy points. That's more than Josh Allen, and that's 10 points more than Kyler Murray. Should we go to that game next? Because Kyler Murray had 7.9 fantasy points as the Cardinals lost 20-17 in New England. Cam Newton went 9 for 18 with no touchdowns, 1 interception, 80 passing yards, and won the football game. Thoughts?
Wow. I mean, but that's what the Patriots do. They have a stacked defense, and then, I mean, when you have Tom Brady, it's a little different, but they've always, defense is always a point of emphasis for them, just because that's how Bill Belichick is.
Yeah, and they limited Kyler. And anytime the Patriots are an underdog at home, you kind of got to look at that and say, okay, that's not going to happen. I took them against the spread, thinking it would be a close game. I kind of had a feeling that they could pull it out, because if there's going to be a game where they win at home where they maybe shouldn't, an inexperienced Cardinals team, an offense that's still
And Kyler's
learning.
a little shaken up from last game.
Yeah, that's true. He might not be 100% healthy. He was grabbing his shoulder all of last week. Again, they were icing his shoulder a lot of this week. Cam didn't play great. Cam had a big first down run late in the game to set up the field goal where he took a shot out of bounds, moved him 15 yards. Cam's not playing great, but he did what he did to get the win.
But I also think a lot of people are trying to say, oh, this is Cam Newton's swan song. But I feel like everyone's forgotten what was Brady's biggest gripe in the last few years. What's the reason he left the Patriots? He had no one to throw to. Cam still has no one to throw to.
Very true.
Jacoby Myers has been having a good year, but
Edelman's been hurt. Obviously Gronk is with Tom Brady in Tampa. They don't have the weapons around him. They have a better running game than they've had years prior.
But now Burkhead's out.
But still, Damian Harris and Sonny Michel, if he ever comes back, that'll be good. What do you think Cam does from here going forward? Because he's on a 1-year deal.
I think it depends on what the Patriots do in the draft. I think they're out on Stidham at this point.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So I could see him coming back for another smaller deal.
Or do the Patriots take Justin Fields? Not Justin Fields isn't going to fall to them, but maybe Zach Wilson from BYU, maybe Trey Lance. Do they take a quarterback in the first round?
I think it depends on their seeding, which they're 5-6 right now, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not going to have great seeding, so they might not have the quarterback to fall to them, and Cam Newton would probably be their best option at that point if he feels like coming back.
They seem very stuck in no man's land, which is such a weird place for the Patriots because
it's so nice to see.
It's great to see. Belichick's probably not going to be in the playoffs unless they I don't know. They probably have to win out, right? Go 10-6 to make the playoffs, which I don't see happening.
Yeah.
They're
And even then, it's a rough shot. Like a lot of
And then if they-
pieces have to fall into place for that to happen.
right. And then on the flip side, if they lose out, they're 5-11, which again I don't see that happening. They play the Jets, so they'll get another win. 5-11 would land you mid to first round.
I think that's the only winnable game for the Jets, but we've already discussed that.
Who knows? Cam could be benched. It could literally be Patriots B team versus the Jets B team, and who knows? Bet the under.
And fucking Bill Belichick would love to take them out of that first place slot.
Oh, of course.
That
Just
first
give him the
pick.
win. But I would be interested in seeing Cam go somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know. I was saying it before, Chicago Bears, they look like they need help at quarterback. That could be a situation. This occurred to me earlier. The Cincinnati Bengals are most likely going to be without Joe Burrow for next season, right? You have Joe Mixon. You have T. Higgins. You have Tyler Boyd. Throw Cam in there for a year.
100%.
Why not? Or what I think Cam realistically is going to end up doing, and this could be another segue, I think he'll end up with the 49ers because
I was just about to say that, actually.
the 49ers got the defense. They got a great rushing game. Jimmy G's not working out, and we know they like stealing quarterbacks from New England.
I was just about to say, I think they might be a little more wary about stealing quarterbacks from New England at this point after the whole Jimmy G experiment did not work out. I still can't believe how highly touted this guy was. When they were offering to trade him, everyone was going for him.
Everyone wanted him.
Everyone who did not have, like, Aaron Rodgers.
He was the hot thing. He was the good-looking New England quarterback that wasn't Tom Brady, and he was on the market. And the Rams, to their credit,
I know, but
the
he was
49ers,
he was supposed to be the second coming of Brady.
yeah.
That's why Bill held on to him for so long.
To their credit, they made the Super Bowl last year, and this week they beat the Rams for whatever reason. They
But they
beat the Rams
made
twice.
they made the Super Bowl in spite of Jimmy G. Let's be completely honest.
That's very fair. Great defense. And when you look at Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa coming back,
Yeah.
Richard Sherman came back, and he clearly made a difference this week as the Rams did not look explosive. They have the defensive pieces. They have everybody has been hurt for them, so it's kind of hard to get a real picture of their offense without Kittle,
That's
without Mostert for most of the year, without Wilson. Deebo Samuel played. He looked great, missed a lot of the year. Ayuk looks like a good receiver, rookie. He's been hurt. Cam Newton would look really good in the red and gold. I want it to happen.
I think that would be a great landing spot for him, especially because I feel like, again, almost going with the coaching thing, like, quarterback carousel has been a lot stronger in the past few years. Like, there's certain people, like, Pat Mahomes not going anywhere.
Right.
Josh Allen's not going anywhere. Lamar Jackson, I feel like if they give him a couple more pieces, is not going anywhere.
Right. There's a lot of teams that have their guy, whether or not, like, even, again, on the other side of this game, the Rams, Goff might not be the best quarterback, but they locked in. They gave him a huge contract. He's going to be their guy for the next couple of years, whether they love him or not.
And I would rate him a little higher than I would, like, I think I said this last week, but I would say it all the time. Andy Dalton was the guy who was good enough to keep his job, but not good enough to win you much. I would rate Jared Goff a little bit above that at this point.
I think that's fair because Goff had showed 2 years ago that he was good enough to get the team to the Super Bowl and then lay an egg in the Super Bowl. Goff has definitely had games where the game against the Bucks, he outplayed Brady. He made a couple mistakes, but he had a great game. He won the game, and this week he did not look nearly as sharp.
That's definitely true.
The Rams, by losing that, I think the Rams now give Seattle the opportunity. With the win tonight, Seattle would be in first place. What also what's cool about this game is the 49ers winning puts them at 5-6, which returns us back to the worst team in the NFC West would be in first place in the NFC East.
That's actually fucking crazy. It's crazy to me that the best quarterback in the NFC East is Andy Dalton.
Yes. That's a weird sentence. Wow, saying it out loud like that, you have a... Yeah, that's sick. That's sick. Well, just look at the names. It's going to be Andy Dalton, Alex Smith, possibly Colt McCoy for next week, and then Carson Wentz.
Even with Daniel Jones, I still think Andy Dalton's the best quarterback in that conference. Or in that division.
Yeah, agreed. But just to put those names on the same list and just looking at it, yeah, that's weird. I mean, Nick Mullins won a game for the 49ers. Would Nick Mullen be the top quarterback in the NFC East?
No, I wouldn't put that there. I really wouldn't. I say what you want about Andy Dalton. Like I said, he's good enough to keep his job. Or at least he has been. And he's honestly not playing bad for the Cowboys.
He
He's
didn't.
not playing fantastic, but
Yeah, he threw a pick six to a lineman.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah, that's true. Shit happens. Happened to Stafford. I think we completely glossed over that game because the Washington football team won 41-16, and it was never close. I mean, the first quarter was close. It was competitive, and then Washington just, like we said, their pass rush is too good.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
I
now
mean,
that
they don't have a line. They don't have
but now that I'm thinking about it, who is the head coach for Washington football?
Ron Rivera.
Who was his quarterback when he went to the Super Bowl?
I mean,
You bring Cam Newton onto the Washington football team with Antonio Gibson looking like a good running back,
true.
Terry McLaurin, and a really winnable division. I'm just saying.
You make a strong case. I'm not gonna lie.
I think for the next 4 or 5 days, I'm just gonna come up with all these scenarios of where Cam Newton could go and just plug in and win. I think another good one, and hey, this could be another transition. New Orleans Saints without Drew Brees. Last year it was Teddy Bridgewater. Right now it's Taysom Hill. Brees is gonna go. Brees is he's old. I mean, not old, but football old. At some point, you got to start thinking, why not? Why not taking someone else to take the reins? Cam Newton for a year, he could ride it out. I just want to see Cam Newton go to a team like the 49ers, the Saints, the Washington football team, where he can just come in. It doesn't have to be great, but the defense, other players around him can make a move.
I can't say you're wrong. I really can't. You're making some pretty strong points today, Eric. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Anybody out there with some Photoshop? Let's see some Cam Newton in other jerseys. Let's see how Cam Newton would look as a New Orleans Saint. That's got to be so upsetting for Panthers fans.
I think out of all of those, though, the Saints, because the Saints have Taysom, they have Jameis, they have pieces that they can try to work with at the very least, and they just pay Taysom all that money.
Yeah, and so the Saints won 31-3 over the Broncos. We're going to cover the Broncos in a second. The Saints, last year, with Teddy Bridgewater filling in for Brees, 5-0. So far, Taysom Hill, 2-0. 7-0 last 2 years without Brees.
And see, that's the thing. Like, he did score 31, and obviously you're playing from a position of power, blah, 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 blah. But the quarterback's going down doesn't affect the defense at all, the Broncos. You know what I mean? They might not have the best defense in the league, but he's still playing against an NFL defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he didn't. I mean, he had I think 87 yards of passing and 50 yards rushing. So he
did what he needed to do to win the game.
Yes, that's again what it comes down to for us as fantasy players. It's different.
I would not take Taysom Hill in fantasy.
For people gambling, it's different. For DraftKings, it's different. But if you're looking at simply just wins
doing
and losses,
what you need to do to win the game. I mean, we were just talking about it. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo last year in the NFC Championship game.
Exactly. He did not shine. He wasn't the star. He wasn't Patrick Mahomes.
I think he got 84 yards.
And the W.
And went to the Super Bowl.
So now we got to get to the elephant in the room. The Broncos did not have a quarterback in that game.
Did not complete a pass in the first half.
One completion, 1 for 9. I think it was 13 yards to my boy Noah Fant.
Yep.
I had to bench Fant because didn't have
a
a quarterback.
What are you going to do there? Like, when we're talking about Blake Bortles being, like, a dream option for last week.
Yeah, you're just
you have problems.
I wish Blake wasn't in the room with them.
Right, exactly.
So this is a guy, I'm blanking on his name, Kendall, I'll get it. He was cut from, he wasn't the starter for Wake Forest. He wasn't on the practice squad.
And people have to understand, everyone's, like, roasting him, too.
Kendall Hinton.
Everyone's roasting him, too, for only completing one pass. First of all, you're converting to a position you've never played in the NFL. You played a little bit in college, but not really anything.
I heard a report that there were members of the coaching staff that he had literally never met before because he had never been in the room with the quarterback's coach.
Right.
He had never, he had met the offensive coordinator because he's a receiver, but he's a practice squad guy. I mean, could you imagine what your life is like getting that emergency call of hey, bud, so you're playing, you're starting.
Oh, I'm starting at wide receiver? Cool. Oh, no. You're going to be the starting quarterback of our team this week.
Wait, you want me to be the guy who's throwing the ball?
Yes.
Shit.
But also at the same time, like, you have to understand, you could have brought in fucking Lamar Jackson. They say they traded for him last week just to get a.
Nope, they couldn't. Lamar has COVID also.
You know what I mean? Like, they could have brought in. They could have brought in Pat Mahomes, coming in not knowing anything about the game plan, not knowing anything about the playbook. Like, he knows it from what he needs to do in the wide receiver standpoint, but he has no idea how to read, like, where this guy's supposed to be, where that guy's supposed to be, like, blah, 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 blah.
How do you draw a play for that? How do you have a quarterback who, as of Friday, assumed he'd be watching the game from the bench and is now in the action? Like, how do you...
And doesn't know the playbook.
The one completion was a tight end screen. They tried a couple of drag routes, got picked off, like... And again, so this isn't on Kendall Hinton at all. He just got thrown into the fire.
Yeah. Like, there was no way that was going to go well, whether or not you had Tom Brady in his prime or Kendall.
20 years from now, Kendall Hinton and Sarah Fuller are going to be sitting in a bar somewhere just like, hey, we made history the same weekend Mike Tyson had a boxing match.
We fucking tried. Do you know the last team to not complete a pass in the first half? The last team and the last quarterback.
Okay, logically, I want to say, oh, it must have been like the 1920s when they just ran the ball, but I know somehow it was the Jets.
Wrong.
Oh, yes. That's a win for the Jets.
It did involve a Jets quarterback, though. A one-time Jets quarterback.
Chad Pennington.
It was once again the Denver Broncos with a young Tim Tebow.
Right, that was another big meme. Big week for memes of Tebow, and the Broncos have played without a quarterback before. That was up there.
Oh my God, do you remember Tebow Mania? Everyone was freaking out when they got to the Jets. Everyone was so excited. I was just sitting there like, Jesus Christ, what did we just do?
I was at a Broncos Jets game. I don't remember anything that happened in it, but I was at a Tebow Jets game.
Rough. It was very rough.
Remember when Tebow tried to be a baseball player on the Mets?
I think he's still on their AA team.
I don't know. I saw him. He was doing SEC games last weekend, so.
Well, I don't think
maybe he's got a off-season gig. I don't know. Tebow, what a guy, Tebow.
Yeah, but you also have to understand, like, they're like, even when the baseball season was going on, they weren't having minor league stuff. They had a few guys in the alternate site,
true.
whatever. But
that's true because the Major League Baseball decided that they didn't want to pay minor league players at all. So
I just think it's more people to worry about, you know what I mean, for something that's not going to make them money.
Yeah, Robert Manfred didn't tell him to say that one.
I know, but
no, I know you're right.
You don't need to bring more people together for something that's not going to affect your bottom line.
Non-essential. That's
yeah.
fair. But the Broncos hopefully get a quarterback next week because you need 5 days of testing negative, so.
Yeah, and I think Drew Lock and Blake Bortles both just didn't actually test positive at any point. They were just close contact concerns.
Right, but it could be 5-day incubation period. What if the Broncos just have to go like the rest of the season without a quarterback? Do they say Peyton John Elway, like, what are you doing? Stretch Peyton Manning? Are you busy?
I think they'd sign someone. I think they'd sign like a Cap or.
I mean, that's where this conversation's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be Cap, but I think there are people out there where if you give them a week to learn the playbook a little more, it's going to be better than a random wide receiver who hasn't played quarterback since a little bit in college.
And he got benched at Wake Forest. It's not like he was the Alabama quarterback, you know?
Right. And I think he converted in college to give himself a better chance because he knew quarterback wasn't where he was going.
Yeah. Or the coaches saw it and made the decision for him.
True. But
either way, the Saints are now the number one team in the NFC. I think the Packers, part of what their motivation for last night was the Saints got pretty much a free win.
Yeah.
And that had to fire them up. Elsewhere in the NFC South, also AFC West, game of the week, Chiefs-Bucks.
Dude. Fucking Tyreek Hill. Jesus Christ. 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, 206 of which in the first half.
First quarter, I think he had close to 200. Either way, he had 42 DraftKings points in the first quarter. That's all I know.
Oh, I know. I literally I had him on DraftKings. Bad week for me on DraftKings, everyone else, but
Well,
it's all right. I was on a run, so I lost.
it's cool. I mean, I played Derek Carr a lot. But
But yeah,
Tyreek
I
Hill.
literally I checked my lineup and I was just like, it said 42.63 first quarter, blah blah blah. Because I was at work at the time of that game, I obviously went back and rewatched it afterwards. But I checked the thing and I was like, no, that can't be right. Like DraftKings has a glitch going on right now. It'll come back down to
Yeah.
earth.
Nah, the Chiefs offense had a glitch right now where it was just any throw Mahomes wanted, he was getting. Because Kelsey quietly had over 100 yards as well. It's just when a guy has 260 plus, you're going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill has proven that all the talk about Hopkins getting the Hail Mary, Devontae Adams throwing his name in the best receiver conversation, Tyreek Hill says, look, I'm not the guy who's going to jump up and get over people because I'm small, but he is the cheetah.
But he's never going to have to because he's going to have 5 yards on anybody.
He's a cheetah.
Exactly.
Yes. If there is ever a player who I would want to see race Usain Bolt, it's Tyreek Hill.
I really want to see that DK Metcalf Tyreek Hill race that people have been joking about.
Well, do you think Metcalf is going to answer tonight and say, Tyreek Hill, you're on notice, and put 150 yards tonight?
No, because Tyler Lockett's going to do that because I have him in fantasy.
There you go. Speak it into existence. What's weird about that game?
For some reason, all the weeks where I play the teams where the guy forgot to sub out Tua in quarterback and blah, 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 I have 197 points. When I fucking face like you or Devin, who have good teams, I get 70. Like,
Yeah.
I waste my good weeks. Fantasy's been rough on me this year, guys.
We'll do a little fantasy segment before we talk about the Monday night game. But one other thing about the Chiefs Bucks is that on this show I said Chiefs by 3, and they won exactly by 3. We pushed because fucking Tom Brady decided to find Mike Evans for 2 touchdowns, and I'm beginning to think
it was good for me in fantasy.
I'm beginning to think like Brady has, I think, 9 interceptions at home this year.
Right.
I'm beginning to think it's just Bruce Arians' offense. Because I heard that his first year with Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, Roethlisberger had 15 interceptions. When he had Carson Palmer in Arizona, he had 15 interceptions. Jameis Winston had 30 interceptions. That's partially just Jameis. But I think just the way Bruce Arians' offense works is we're going to throw it deep. We're just going to take the shots downfield.
Yeah.
And maybe 5 years ago, Brady would be Brady and just have unbelievable lights out numbers every week. But I think partially his decline in age and partially the system, you're seeing more interceptions.
I feel bad for Brady because I feel like
Don't you ever say that. We are Jets fans. Think about what he's done to us.
Think about what he's done to us. The second he's taken off the Pats uniform, it's all forgiven. I don't care anymore.
You disgust me.
It's not like the Jets had good teams except for like 2 years out of that whole run.
No. Tom Brady, anyways, go on.
They weren't going to do it whether or not Tom Brady was there either way, and it's nice to I like greatness. Like, it's why I hate that I can't root for Floyd Mayweather because he's a woman beater. Like,
wow, we're taking left and right turns here.
Oh, I don't give a fuck.
All right, wait.
If you beat women, I don't like you and I can't root for you. Sorry, Kareem Hunt. Sorry, fucking Floyd Mayweather.
It's really ironic because we just had a 10-minute jerk-off session about how great Tyreek Hill is.
I mean, that was his kid, and that was disciplining, but yeah.
Okay.
Like, he's a good player. Like, you can't take away his skill. Like,
he's going to be really fast. He might.
Like,
anyways.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I have to talk about how great of a game he had because we talk about sports, and that's what it is. But it doesn't mean I have to approve of his life decisions or approve of. You know what I mean? Like, you're an asshole for what you did. It is what it is.
To bring this back to the Bucks game.
Sorry.
No. This works. Stay with me here. The Bucks are now 1-3 since they've added Antonio Brown.
True.
I don't think he has anything to do with it because he's actually been very quiet and playing well. I just think it just times out that way. And if you want to point a finger and say, oh, this guy.
I also, kind of like we were talking about with Odell and Baker, I think Brady already had that chemistry because he found out he liked him. Like, while on the Patriots, he's been kind of rallying to get him there. Whatever. I think he understands how good he is, and he kind of he's looking to try to get Antonio Brown more involved than he probably should.
He found Gronk a few times downfield.
True.
And that was where they had success. And then Mike Evans is just so strong. You
Yeah.
can't tackle him. So the Bucs have the right personnel. They have it all there. And I don't think they played very well. I don't think they played as close as a 3-point game.
True.
Because it just seemed like if the Chiefs wanted to, they could score at any given moment. But I'm not as concerned with the Bucs losing that game as it might look.
True.
Like Brady got picked off. Brady, one of them was off the left tackle's helmet, and Tyrann Mathieu just caught it. Like, that's not Brady making a mistake. That just happens.
Yeah, shit happens.
Shit happens. Moral of the story.
But I'm definitely worried about the Bucs at this point. Like, they should have been every year. Like last year it was the Browns. This year it was the Bucs. They should have been the Avengers, but nope.
It just doesn't work like that in football.
It really doesn't. And like it should though. When you have that many key players, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Just with the receivers, it's like you got to feed the right guy. You got to make them all happy. Maybe it doesn't work out.
But also at the same time, I feel like their defense has. The last couple weeks they have not looked good.
They haven't, but again, when you're playing the Chiefs,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna look good. I think this was a combination of like the Bucs have been playing just poorly enough where like they lost to the Rams and they had like a close game with the Giants a couple weeks ago, and like obviously they got destroyed by the Saints. Like they're coming in at like the low point of their season,
Right.
and the Chiefs are just now just clicking. The Chiefs have one loss, and I could see them ending the season 15-1.
100%.
And
even that one loss, like
fucking
obviously they were in it, but it like
John
it was
Gruden.
like it felt like a fluky game when it happened.
Yes. Well, I don't know because the Raiders played them really well last week, and the Chiefs still won because the Chiefs are just that good.
No, I agree, but like it wasn't one of those things where you were like, "Oh, I'm worried about that team." It was just like, "All right, a team came out, had a good game, whether or not that team is good or bad, whatever." Like
Right.
it felt like the right circumstances to get the win.
Yes. And again, with the Bucs, it was 27-10. Like, that game was out of reach. They started giving Brady the deep throws because they were just going to let him take the shots. And so they were able to move the ball,
Right.
make it a close game, made me push. So I went 2-1-1 on my picks. I'm going to be doing 3 picks, one of which is going to be a separate pick is going to be the Jets because we're Jet fans, but you can pretty much always just go against the Jets.
Yeah, pretty much. But we're gonna have a couple extra episodes this week. It's gonna be nice.
It's going to be bonus basement.
So
Boys.
we're gonna save our picks for our picks for week 13 coming up for next week. I do want to make some picks for the Monday night game and the Tuesday night game. So Eric, where are you going?
Let's get into it. So tonight, this is being recorded Monday. Monday Night Football is going to be the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be in Philly. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy. The Seahawks are, depending where you look, 6 points, 5.5 points, favorites. I'm actually going to take Philly in this.
Really?
I don't think Philly's going to win, but I think Seattle, especially in these primetime games, they play close games. I think Wilson has been very streaky. Some games obviously first 5 games he was MVP. Everybody was all over him.
Right.
He had the 4 turnovers against Buffalo. He's been up and down. He got beat by the Rams, did not look sharp, and this Eagles defense has not allowed a passing touchdown 3 straight games. Granted, they're not playing the best opponents. Doesn't matter. It's still an accomplishment. Darius Slay is a great cornerback. Rodney McLeod is having a great season as the free safety. I did my research on the Eagles because I wrote up on fantasy that I think Russell Wilson is he's gonna have a good game because he's Russell Wilson, but he's not gonna meet the projections. I think he's gonna underperform.
Right.
I see the Seattle Seahawks winning this game 20-17 with the Eagles covering.
I don't think it goes that high.
Really?
I have no faith in Carson Wentz anymore. I really don't. He's just looked absolutely terrible. He cannot make the right decision, and
He's going against the worst passing defense in the history of the league.
but I also think all these injuries are shaking him. I think he's so worried about getting the next injury and not being able to complete the season and blah 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 that he's not making correct decisions.
What an indictment on Carson Wentz that you're not believing in him against the worst pass defense in the history of the league. And I don't think you're wrong. I think Wentz will make mistakes.
Yeah, I really And especially if, like, they start sending Jamal, if they, like, you know what I mean? They get some pressure onto him. I think he's shook at this point. I really do. I think he's so worried about his next injury because he can't complete a season.
Do you think he's worried about his job? Because there was reports that Jalen Hurts was taking first-team reps.
I I definitely I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable about his job.
Yeah, a team takes a quarterback in the second round. It usually sends a message.
And Jalen Hurts was one of the most talked about quarterbacks out of this last draft.
And
It wasn't a quarterback deep draft. At least we thought at the time. Herbert and Joe Burrow obviously have been showing out, but
yeah, and Tua's still,
yeah.
he's been hurt.
Tua's figuring it out. He's just getting back from injury. Like, I'll give him this season.
I think those three are clear going to be the guys. Like, I think in 5 years from now, we're going to talk about the Chargers. It's going to be Herbert. Burrow's going to be the guy for the Bengals, and Tua's going to be the Dolphins quarterback for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts and Philly, who knows? And I don't think there's much to lose by letting him try.
Yeah. And, like, again, he was one of the more talked about people coming out.
And
you know what I mean?
And I'm not saying I would put a lot of money on it, but if you're going to build a bunch of DraftKings lineups, like for the showdowns, I like doing the quarter contest, making 10 different lineups, putting just like 20 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents. Like, get a little Jalen Hurts in there, because if he plays, no one else is going to have him. You throw him at the captain spot, he's going to be real cheap. You can build with all like Lockett and Metcalf and Wilson.
Right.
Just something to think about. So who do you think is going to win the game, and what do you think the score is going to be?
Seahawks, Eagles. I'm obviously going Seahawks. Again, I'm not good at like placing scores on it, but I would definitely say probably a lower scoring affair. And if I'd take the Seahawks if I found them at +10 or -10.
Really? So what do you think the final score? Just throwing out numbers.
If I had to throw out numbers, maybe at the very most, maybe like 10-24.
Okay, 24-10 Seattle. I could see that. I agree with you. It's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be lower scoring than people think, partially because of the weather, partially because they're just Carson Wentz is really bad.
Yeah, he's really, really not playing well in the slightest.
Yeah, and like you just said, look at the quarterbacks in the NFC East, and like he's the one that's been there the longest. He's the one that has the Super Bowl ring. Technically, I think they gave him one, right? Like he didn't do it, but
no, but he
was on the team.
If you play, I think 8 games in the regular season, you're eligible to get a ring, and he was still on the team.
Dude, I'd be so mad if I played 7 games on a championship team and didn't get a ring.
It's the same thing in like basketball. There was that one guy on Miami that, or either I think it was Miami he was on at the time, but he started the season with the Lakers, so either team won, he was eligible for a ring.
Oh no, Deion Waiters. I think it was the flip. Because Deion Waiters started the year with the Heat, and then he had too many edibles and freaked out on an airplane.
Yeah.
And they cut him, and then he was like, it's legal in LA. JR's on the team. Let me come out there. Anyways, so shall we move to the Tuesday night game?
I mean, there's only one way that game's going to go.
The Steelers are 10-point favorites now. I got it earlier in the week when it was 6.5. 10-point favorites. The Steelers going against the Robert Griffin III led Ravens. I mean, I'm just gonna throw out numbers 24-3. Steelers.
I'm surprised they don't use RG3 as more of like that gadget style that Taysom Hill does.
I think RG3 is just too fragile.
I mean, no, but he has done it. They have done little things with him.
And I don't know.
They have the Heisman package.
I was just about to say, I don't know if you knew this, but he won a Heisman, and so did Mark Ingram, and so did Lamar. That's something that might be mentioned once or twice.
That's why they literally call it the Heisman package.
Of course, but that's like one of those announcer tidbits where like they have to say it.
In
baseball, whenever Altuve and Judge are like within the same conversation, they have to show the picture because there's a big height difference.
Oh, yeah.
So the Heisman package, I mean, we were talking about the Broncos, how it was just amongst the quarterback's room. The Ravens, it's the whole team. Mark Andrews, beyond football, Mark Andrews, like, diabetic. Let's make sure his health is where it needs to be.
See, that's the thing. Sports have gotten lucky that no one has been hospitalized or intubated or died from this thing. But the way the breakouts are running with football right now, like,
statistically, it's going to happen. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns lost his mom.
But no players, you know what I mean? Not to say that Karl Anthony Towns' mom does not matter. Like, Karl Anthony Towns, like, prayers up for you. Like, I'm not trying to be like that, but just in the public perception, what the league is worried about, the fact that no players is big. But with the breakouts going, like, you're only increasing your odds.
Yeah, it's just
Like 30-year-olds are dying from this. Yeah, the elderly and the out of shape and blah 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 have more of a chance to, but it's not like it's uncommon.
someone like Mark Ingram, type 1 diabetes. That's just the way he was born.
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a big mix-up.
Yeah.
Someone's life.
I mean, it's Mark and Mark.
Mark and Mark, same team, but someone's life is
Yeah.
in jeopardy. Want to give them their proper respect. So that game's gonna not be very competitive.
Not at all.
The Ravens then they were scheduled to be the Thursday night game. That got pushed back, so we're gonna have a double Monday night game next week, which like low key I'm so excited for because I
Yeah.
love back-to-back Monday night football games.
True.
They're gonna play the Cowboys, which is gonna be interesting because we could be seeing RG3 versus Andy Dalton.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that's too far ahead. Can't
Yeah.
think that far ahead. So
Because for all we know at that point, he, like, I don't. Oh no, he did test positive. So yeah. This could be.
Cowboys could win that game.
But like Andy Dalton was talking about the fog he went through after testing positive for COVID. Cam Newton, the same thing. Like, it affects you long after.
If we want to talk for a second about baseball, the National League MVP Freddie Freeman said he was in the hospital praying for his life, and he said it in the most like, my wife and I followed all the protocols. We did everything right. I'm an in shape guy. It's an unpredictable disease, and we're all dealing with it.
Yeah. All right, but I think that's all we got this week.
Yeah, comment below. Let us know who you think is going to win the Monday night game, unless it already happened. Then comment below who's going to win the Tuesday night game, because 2020 we have football a lot.
We're just gonna see Steelers.
Hey, if anybody wants to bet the Ravens and they get that one right,
I mean,
we'll give you a lot of love.
I feel like this is the setup for a trap game.
Nope.
Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I feel like maybe not in the Broncos situation because they did not have a quarterback whatsoever. If they're gonna take something light, I feel like the Steelers, this would be it.
Yeah, but also
even though I
like,
still don't think it's gonna happen.
starting quarterback, starting tight end.
No, I agree.
Running backs.
I 100% agree. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying, hey, if you get it at a good line,
I'd be really happy to see RG3 have a great game.
if you got like a minus 400, 500 money line, and you wanted to throw down like $20 on that, maybe
Yeah,
win 100.
sprinkle it. Why not?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't think that was a bad play.
don't bet the house on the Ravens.
Yeah,
Maybe on the
definitely
Steelers.
don't bet the house.
Maybe
but,
on the Steelers, you could take out a mortgage on the Steelers.
But if you get a solid money line, and you want to throw $20 down on it, I don't think it's the worst play.
Yeah, people have done worse.
Yeah.
Gamble responsibly.
All right, guys, that's it for this week. This is the Basement Boys Podcast, episode 28, I think now, something like that.
Sounds right to me.
All right, I am Chris Gray, Eric Mincer. See ya.
Welcome to the basement.